Hi, welcome to the Edwin Music Matters, and here we are going to talk about music theory, oral tests, music composition, harmonic analysis, sight reading, piano, and more. If you're a student of music, you are a choir director, you are a choir trainer, you are studying music in university, in college, the Edwin Music Matters provides you with music resources, video courses, and music support materials that will help you learn thoroughly but also have great fun. Now, today I'm going to talk about rules of harmony just briefly because in my next lesson I'll be talking into details about each of the rules of harmony independently. Now, today I'll just mention and elaborate kidogo. In the rules of harmony, you should ensure that while you are harmonizing your melodic line or your melodic interface, ensure that there are no consecutive fifths during your harmony. Ensure that there are no consecutive octaves or what we call parallel octaves. Ensure that there are no hidden fifths or hidden consecutives or even exposed consecutives. Ensure that there are no dissonant leaps. And when I talk about dissonant leaps, I'm talking about sevenths. I'm talking about diminished intervals. I'm talking about augmented intervals. Try to avoid as much as possible writing these dissonant leaps. In fact, choose small intervals such that your leading notes resolves to the tonic. Another important thing to note during harmony, ensure that your alto and tenor do not move much apart. Most importantly, never overlap parts, especially in the two parts of harmony. Don't overlap the parts such that one part crosses over to the next. Avoid that. Also, ensure that you stay within the accepted range of voices between the two parts, especially the upper voices. Try to ensure that the intervals between the upper voices do not go beyond an octave. More importantly, to note during your harmony, double the root or the fifth in root position chords. Very important to note. Double the root or the fifth in root position chords. A fifth is just the fifth interval above the root of a chord. So during harmony in a root position chord, you are allowed to double the root or the fifth. In your first inversion chords, you can double any note in the first inversion of chords. Double the fifth in second inversion chords. You can double the third in diminished chords. However much you are advised to avoid the diminished chords. But when you use a diminished chord, you are allowed to double the third. But double the third with care in some other chords. Very important to note. So today, having mentioned the rules of harmony just briefly, I am only going to talk about consecutive fifths briefly because in my next video I'm going to talk about it into detail with the detailed examples, how to identify the consecutive fifths and how to eliminate them. So today we just ask ourselves, what are these consecutive fifths and why are they not recommended in harmony? In advanced music theory in harmony, for those who are doing diplomas in the grade 6 advanced theory music harmony, there are several sets of rules of harmony that are displayed, consecutive fifths being one of them. So today I will just briefly mention about it. Consecutive fifths are considered bad, especially in figured bass. But even if you're doing harmony in the 4 part, you must never have the consecutive fifths. They are not that good. Now ask yourself, how do these consecutive fifths sneak in? Because sometimes you write harmony, but you don't realize that you have sneaked the consecutives without knowing. These fifths, they often sneak in where there are two root position chords or 2 5 3 chords next to each other in the same two parts, the same parts of harmony. For example, where you have where there are perfect fifths in the same two parts of harmony, one after the other. One perfect fifth in one part of the harmony, then another perfect fifth in the same part of the harmony, following each other. Then that is what we call consecutive fifths. Fifths can only be consecutive if the perfect fifths follow each other in the same two parts, one after the other. When the chords change rapidly, such that in this one, in the first structure of your coding, maybe in one part, for example, in your bass and tenor, there occurs a perfect fifth. Then in the next progression of the chord, just immediately after the first progression, in the same part, the tenor and the bass, there occurs another perfect fifth. Then that is what we consider consecutive fifths. Consecutive fifths are only considered illegal if they occur in the same part. So if in your first chording you have a perfect fifth between the bass and the tenor, then in the second chording you have a perfect fifth now, but between the tenor and the bass and alto, then that is not considered consecutive fifth because they occur in different parts. But if in your harmony, in the first chording you have a perfect fifth in your alto, between your alto and the soprano, and then in your second chording you have another perfect fifth between the alto and the soprano, then that is considered consecutive, and that's now illegal. That is what we want to talk about. So, if you have, if there are perfect fifths in the same chord, for example, if you have a root position chord in C major, and then you repeat the same chord in the next progression, such that the chord is not altered, you repeat the same chord in its same arrangement, then you realize that in the first chord there is a perfect fifth between maybe the tenor and the alto, and then you repeat the same chord so that you have another perfect fifth. Then those are not considered consecutive fifths because the chord has just been repeated. So consecutives are only considered illegal when the parts move, when you have the parts moving. So during harmony, you should be doing checks and balances. You have to check for the consecutive fifths between each of the voices of the harmony. What does this mean? You're going to have 6 checks between each chord. You're going to have first check between soprano and alto, soprano tenor, soprano bass. Check for any possibility of occurrence of hidden or exposed consecutive. The next check will be alto, tenor, alto, bass. Check for any possibility of occurrence of whether hidden or exposed consecutive. And the last check will be between the tenor and the bass. So during your progression of harmony, ensure you do checks and balances between all these parts of harmony and ensure that you eliminate any occurrence of them. Some people also ask about compound fifths and whether they are legal or not. I know when we talk about compound fifths, you are talking about octaves and fifths. Yes, they are wrong and they're also illegal. You should avoid them. But there are some cases of advanced harmony. When you learn advanced music harmony, there are some cases when these compound fifths are allowed. Yes, in some cases. But try as much as possible to avoid, especially if you are doing the 4-part harmony. Even the diminished chords, some people also asked about diminished fifths in this case. Yeah, the diminished fifths are not that bad, they are not wrong. But you should still avoid writing them if possible. Try to avoid writing them as much as possible. They are not bad, but try to avoid writing them. Okay. Like I mentioned, some people ask if the consecutives are bad if the notes are repeated. No, consecutives are only bad if the voices move. If the voices do not move, then that is not considered a consecutive. So, if you talk about consecutive octaves and consecutive fifths, or generally if you talk about consecutives and why and the illegality behind them, or why they are illegal. Now let me tell you, the consecutive fifths, or even the parallel octaves, or generally the parallel motions, the reason why they sneak in and the reason why you should really avoid them is because they make your harmony to sound as though as the music has been reduced to only three parts, whereas your harmony should, the four-part harmony should sound independent and they should have a strong identity. But now this effect is now dramatically reduced and lessened by these consecutives. And this is the reason why they are really discouraged in your harmony. You should really avoid writing consecutive fifths, avoid writing even consecutive octaves as well, or what we call hidden consecutives. The fifth can be hidden, octaves can also be hidden. So generally, all the consecutives are considered illegal, especially in the four-part harmony. Should try to avoid them. So in my next video tomorrow, I am going to talk about the consecutive fifths and perfect fifths into detail with the demonstrations. We are going to have a melody. We are going to try to harmonize the melody. Then we try to look at any possibility of occurrence of consecutives, whether they are hidden or exposed. And the moment we will see them, we will try to demonstrate how we eliminate them. So if you want to learn about this more, kindly subscribe, like, comment, and share. Tomorrow we will talk about this into details. Bye bye.